Can't we talk about art for like a little quick?
I'm with you. Art, I hate most of it. The vast majority of it, I hate.
It all sucks.
Some of it looks good. Like if it's a painting like of of people that looks good, I'm like, oh, that looks good. I can see how there's skill in that. Like abstract art, I'm looking at nothing. A Jackson Pollock painting, this guy, it's just mustard stains.
Yeah.
I don't get art.
It's just spin art.
I can just tell if somebody's talented, but it's like it doesn't.
Can we acknowledge
anything to me
that Banksy does nothing interesting or unique
I'm with you.
At all?
And that's why I would never dress up like one of his paintings.
The only reason I liked, and I wore that Halloween costume, what I liked about it is it insulted the idiots that like Banksy. So what the costume was is he was, I guess, not, it was either him or somebody had gotten, I think it was him, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember exactly what it was?
I think it was him. He had someone, I think, auctioned off one of his paintings, and then whoever won, he shredded it.
So yeah, he auctioned off a painting, and then right when the person won the auction, there was a trigger mechanism, and it started shredding the painting right in front of them. Right? So he's like, look how fucking stupid you are for liking me. And I agree with that sentiment about him. I think everything he does is super overrated. And we like it because the art community is like this, like, honestly, you know what the art community is? I think it's money laundering.
Oh, a big part of it.
You said this to me one time. It made a lot of sense.
I really think like there's these 4 or like 3 galleries in the world that decide who the hot artists are and who the next artists are. It's all bullshit, right? And I really think what it is how rich people can keep money, right, in an appreciating asset without paying taxes on it. So I'm going to buy a $25 million painting. It stays as $25 million.
Actually, goes up.
You're right. It goes up.
Skyrockets.
As long as we have a good connection with those 3-4 galleries that keep on saying that this is the thing.
Yeah.
You know, Picasso's not going anywhere. These people aren't going anywhere. So my thing goes up in value and I don't got to pay tax never about it.
You know what they are?
Go.
They're kind of like the Fed.
They're I don't get it yet, but I agree.
They dictate monetary value. They dictate money. This art is worth this much. We can inflate it. We can take it down if we want to. We decide the entire market of this. Kind of like, I don't understand all the ins and outs of the Feds because I'm not, watching
they're dictating the value of money by deciding how much money is in circulation.
And the Fed and then art people do that with paint.
Now here's the thing. At least money you could buy shit. This painting is absolutely worthless once we decide it's worthless. Now I know you guys could look at me and go, well, once we decide money's worthless, it's worthless too. And once we decide gold is worthless, it's worthless too. Yes, I get it. I understand what you're saying. At the end of the day, I could find someone who's going to take an American dollar bill. I could find it.
And right? I agree with you.
If I have a fucking Picasso painting and I need a bottle of water and I'm in a neighborhood where they don't give a fuck about Picasso, I can't get no bottle of water.
Yeah, but they can sell it at an auction.
What if I need the bottle of water now? Now you got to organize an auction, call up fucking Sotheby's, do all this shit. If you need shit to go now,
it's an asset like a house is an asset.
Everything you buy though.
It's an asset like a house is an asset. But this is what I can do in a house. I can sleep in that house. I can have shelter if I need in the house. Literally what it is, it's a made up currency that I think rich people use to exchange wealth. And then the rest of us, in order to seem like we're rich, to compensate for the fact that we're not, we act like it has value. It's like wine. I've never tasted that good wine. It's all the fucking same. Why? I mean, like if you drink it enough, maybe like, okay, this one is moderately better than this other one. But it's one of these bullshit.
It's bullshit.
It's a bullshit. Yeah, like what is it called?
Sommelier is just fucking Sotheby's or whatever. It's just the art dealer.
Bro, I thought you were talking about the marathoners. No. But yeah, a wine sommelier you're talking about. Yeah. Yes, exactly. It is, granted, you might know, oh, it has beans in it. Oh, this has a little hint of pepper and this, all this shit. But you're making up this culture around this thing to create value with you and your friend, within you and your friend group.
But that's everything.
100%.
But it's exaggerated. Like comedy, we can split hairs and say, oh, this comedian is better because this, and we believe that and we're right. But the average person's like, I don't give a fuck. And if the average person was like, I'm going to pay $1 million to go see this comedian, you'd be like, you're a fucking retard.
Yeah.
Nobody's that good.
And
there's
also
$100,000 bottles of wine. That's insane.
You can still.
I don't think I'm better than you because I like this comedian, and it doesn't make me better than you culturally because I like a specific comedian.
That exists on a smaller level. Nothing like with art. Art's a whole culture.
There's no elitist classist thing going on with like this specific. Like if I like Patrice O'Neal and you don't, I'm not. Oh, you are lower class because. And then if you don't get Patrice O'Neal, I don't go. Oh, you do not get such thing. Now this does happen with some art. Usually the unfunny people.
Yeah.
Right? There is the like, oh, you have to be sophisticated to get this thing. Da, da, da. But again, these are people creating these cultural structures as oppression tools, to be honest. They're like feeding themselves, right? They're like, look how elite we are. Look at our cool little group. We understand things like wine and we understand things like art. Both of those things you made up. It's absolute bullshit. At the end of the day, what is wine and art going to do when I punch you in your fucking stupid
If your
face?
culture is monetizable, it's probably not real culture. If my culture is an asset, it's a bottle of wine, and that's how I prove I'm cultured. Oh, I prove I'm cultured because I have this painting that's worth $10 million. That's not culture. You're not cultured for being into that.
I feel you.
I've thought about this a lot because I had a bit about how I don't believe in art, period.
Yes.
And now I'm like, okay, I've been to the Van Gogh Museum. I see that's a beautiful painting. And I'm like, I look at that. I'm like, yo, this is beautiful.
Yes.
But I'm sure there are other paintings that are just as beautiful that people don't give a fuck about and decided was useless. These powers that be or whatever, they're like, oh, this painting sucks. And I'm sure there's beautiful paintings like that.
But that's the way everything garners value if enough people think that that thing is good.
Exactly.
So
What you're saying is right.
Once those people die and that person can't make more of it, then those things start going up in value because there's less and less of them once people buy.
Now, what you're saying is 100% correct, right? And in order to preserve that value, the people that don't like that thing are considered less than, poor, lower class, undesirable, and that's how you preserve the value, right?
Okay.
Ignorant.
So ignorant, exactly, right? Uncouth, is that a term sometimes used, right? So it's like, hey, this is top shelf art, and then Akaash and I walk in and we're like, that just looks like splatter. Oh, you don't understand.
You don't get it.
Gotcha,
This guy doesn't get it.
Right? Because if you actually listen to what I said and Akaash said and 99% of all the other people that are like, nah, that's just splatter.
Yeah.
Then the people that were going to buy it for $5 million are like, oh shit, that's just splatter, dog.
Jackson
I'm not
Pollock
buying
is
that.
just splatter. Look up his paintings, you feel nothing. You go to the fucking art museum in New York, the modern art, it's just, there's literally one that's just light bulbs. Swear to God, different color light bulbs. And people are staring at it like it's something.
So that's the thing. That's why I agree with you in terms of I think most art is bullshit because I just don't get it. There's some people that claim they get it, or maybe they're just trying to pretend that they get it so they fit in that culture and shit like that. But classical music, for example, people rave about classical music, and yeah, it sounds cool, but it's like I'm not going to pay thousands of dollars to go see a symphony perform that type of music. But to certain people, they feel something when they're sitting there feeling and listening to it.
And I can believe that. I also believe what we were saying, which is that in all forms of art, there is a kind of little classism that forms amongst certain people who want to pretend to be elite. And they're like, this comic or this music, oh, you don't get it. It's fine. It's not for you. You don't get it. I get it because I'm more evolved or whatever the fuck, more class, high class. But I think with actual art, it's so exaggerated, so blown out of proportion. There is an entire culture. The entire purpose of it seems to be classist.
Is it different or is that the same as designer clothes?
Dude, sneakers, designer clothes is no different. It just operates on a lower level in the supposed hierarchy scale, right? The supposed hierarchy scale is absolute bullshit, right? But the idea that we could look at someone who doesn't care about their sneakers, they have stupid sneakers on, and then we could think less of them, that's what people are doing when someone orders a shitty bottle of wine or when someone doesn't understand the fancy art, right?
You know what's even stupider?
We've created,
Okay, go ahead.
We've created this system where we're like, okay, the highest sneaker is an off-white Jordan or the highest sneaker is this, that, the other, right? And then there's a rejection of that, which is often a return to the mean. Well, maybe not even mean. It's like the opposite of the lowest end of the spectrum, right? Which is like, I'm going to wear the most beat up, uncool Reeboks as a rejection of the coolest, cleanest off-whites, right? But they're both effectively doing the same thing. How can I like separate myself from the mainstream in order to create value? But it's a perceived fake create value. That's why I won't wear a single sneaker that I don't like the way it looks. I have to like the way it looks. And if it just so happens that it's made by fucking Virgil, or if it's just an old Jordan or something like that, okay, I have to pay a little bit more for that thing because it has this value we all share. But I refuse to just put some fucking thing on because some people decided Virgil is good at designing shit. Yeah. He can make dog shit too.
And to that point, what Mark was saying, that was like, oh, it's the exact same. Here's where it's even crazier with fashion. There can be some shit that we've all decided is whack, and then one or two people decide it's hot, and it goes from being a cheap piece of shit clothing brand like Champion to being designer clothes that you can't find anywhere.
Carhartt.
And the prices have doubled. Carhartt, perfect example.
So it's like they'll try to like siphon off value from these established companies that are rejections of the mainstream thing.
Yeah.
So Champion or Russell Athletic or these things that were like you find in models that anybody could buy are now oh, why don't we do a collab with that, and then it'll become cool because we're doing this thing that's not cool,
Right.
And now I'm going to add my value to it. Again, yeah, everything is perceived value.
Yeah.
And I just want to put a button on it because it started with Banksy. And so I
you
do
heard that button on it, fashion.
Oh shit!
You didn't even know you did that.
I know. But
Why'd you put a button on that shirt, son? I was
real
looking at
talk.
your fucking chest hair.
Motherfuckers
I'm
dressed
turning
as
you on,
Cardi
stop
B's
it.
tattoo.
See, open to right now.
No, that was good. That was
good.
fire.
That was good.